He was expelling a demon that was mute. When the demon had gone out, the man who had been mute spoke, and the people were astounded. But some of them said, "It is by Baal-zebul, the ruler of the demons, that he expels the demons." And others, trying to trap him, demanded from him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing what they were thinking, said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, with one house collapsing on another. So if the adversary too is divided against himself, how can his kingdom survive? I'm asking because you claim it is by Baal-zebul that I drive out the demons. If I drive out demons by Baal-zebul, by whom do your people drive them out? So they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the finger of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you." This Moshe whom they rejected, saying, "Who made you a ruler and judge?" is the very one whom God sent as both ruler and ransomer by means of the angel that appeared to him in the thorn bush. This man led them out, performing miracles and signs in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moshe who said to the people of Israel, "God will raise up a prophet like me from among your brothers." This is the man who was in the assembly in the wilderness, accompanied by the angel that had spoken to him at Mount Sinai and by our fathers, the man who was given living words to pass on to us. But our fathers did not want to obey him. On the contrary, they rejected him, and in their hearts turned to Egypt, saying to Aharon, "Make us some gods to lead us, because this Moshe who led us out of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him." That was when they made an idol in the shape of a calf and offered sacrifice to it, and held a celebration in honor of what they had made with their own hands. So God turned away from them and gave them over to worship the stars, as has been written in the book of the prophets. "People of Israel, it was not to me that you offered slaughtered animals and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness. No, you carried the tent of Molech and the star of your god Raphan, the idols that you made so that you could worship them. Therefore I will send you into exile beyond Babel." Our fathers had the tent of witness in the wilderness. It had been made just as God, who spoke to Moshe, had ordered it made, according to the pattern Moshe had seen. Later on, our fathers who had received it brought it in with Yehoshua, when they took the land away from the nations that God drove out before them. So it was until the days of David. He enjoyed God's favor and asked if he might provide a dwelling place for the God of Yaakov, and Shlomo did build him a house. But Ha-Elyon does not live in places made by hand. As the prophet said, "Heaven is my throne, says Adonai, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house could you build for me? What kind of place could you devise for my rest? Didn't I myself make all these things?" Stiff-necked people with uncircumcised hearts and ears, you continually oppose the Ruach HaKodesh. You do the same things your fathers did. Which of the prophets did your fathers not persecute? They killed those who told in advance about the coming of the Tzaddik, and now you have become his betrayers and murderers. You, who receive the Torah as having been delivered by angels, but do not keep it. On hearing these things, they were cut to their hearts and ground their teeth at him. But he, full of the Ruach HaKodesh, looked up to heaven and saw God's Shekinah, with Yeshua standing at the right hand of God. "Look," he exclaimed, "I see heaven opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." At this, they began yelling at the top of their voices, so they wouldn't have to hear him. And with one accord, they rushed at him, threw him outside the city, and began stoning him. And the witnesses laid down their coats at the feet of a young man named Shaul. As they were stoning him, Stephen called out to God, "Lord Yeshua, receive my spirit." Then he kneeled down and shouted out, "Lord, don't hold this sin against them." With that, he died. And Shaul gave his approval to his murder. Starting with that day, there arose intense persecution against the Messianic community in Yerushalayim. All but the emissaries were scattered throughout the regions of Yehuda and Shamron. For brothers, I don't want you to miss the significance of what happened to our fathers. All of them were guided by the pillar of cloud, and they all passed through the sea. And in connection with the cloud and with the sea, they all immersed themselves into Moshe. Also they all ate the same food from the Spirit, and they all drank the same drink from the Spirit, for they drank from a Spirit-sent rock which followed them, and that rock was the Messiah. Yet with the majority of them God was not pleased, so their bodies were strewn across the desert. Now these things took place as prefigurative historical events, warning us not to set our hearts on evil things as they did. Don't be idolaters as some of them were. As the Tanakh puts it, the people sat down to eat and drink, then got up to indulge in revelry. And let us not engage in sexual immorality as some of them did, with the consequence that 23,000 died in a single day. And let us not put the Messiah to the test as some of them did, and were destroyed by snakes. And don't grumble as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroying angel. These things happened to them as prefigurative historical events, and they were written down as a warning to us who are living in the Acharit Hayamim. Therefore let anyone who thinks he is standing up be careful not to fall. No temptation has seized you beyond what people normally experience, and God can be trusted not to allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. On the contrary, along with the temptation, he will also provide the way out, so that you will be able to endure. Are we starting to recommend ourselves again? Or do we, like some, need letters of recommendation either to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter of recommendation, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. You make it clear that you are a letter from the Messiah placed in our care, written not with ink but by the Spirit of the living God, not on stone tablets but on human hearts. Such is the confidence we have through the Messiah toward God. It is not that we are competent in ourselves to count anything as having come from us. On the contrary, our competence is from God. He has even made us competent to be workers, serving a new covenant, the essence of which is not a written text but the Spirit. For the written text brings death, but the Spirit gives life. Now if that which worked death by means of a written text, engraved on stone tablets, came with glory, such glory that the people of Israel could not stand to look at Moshe's face because of its brightness, even though that brightness was already fading away, won't the working of the Spirit be accompanied by even greater glory? For if there was glory in what works to declare people guilty, how much more must the glory abound in what works to declare people innocent? In fact, by comparison with this greater glory, what was made glorious before has no glory now. For if there was glory in what faded away, how much more glory must there be in what lasts? Therefore, with a hope like this, we are very open, unlike Moshe, who put a veil over his face, so that the people of Israel would not see the fading brightness come to an end. What is more, their minds were made stone-like, for to this day the same veil remains over them when they read the Old Covenant. It has not been unveiled, because only by the Messiah is the veil taken away. Yes, till today, whenever Moshe is read, a veil lies over their heart. But, says the Torah, whenever someone turns to Adonai, the veil is taken away. Now, Adonai in this text means the Spirit. And where the Spirit of Adonai is, there is freedom. So all of us, with faces unveiled, see as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, and we are being changed into his very image, from one degree of glory to the next, by Adonai the Spirit.